How's everyone doing today? Today we are going to be looking at MSPs. We're going to be looking at how many teams got MSPs. We're not including like nations of hockey, where if it's their nationality, for instance, if it's a Canadian player, I'm not going to add them to a corresponding team. For example, John Tavares. They have him on Team Canada. Not going to chalk him down as an Islander. I'm not going to put him down as a Toronto Maple Leaf. I'm going to skip that. If it's a national player, then we're just going to leave it. Only players that were assigned to teams are going to count. So we're going to get into who has the most, be it 9 is the most MSPs that one team got, and whether or not it's the best team in the league or one of the most successful teams in the league, or are there some surprising teams in there? Because there was one with 9, there was 3 with 8, a couple with 7, 6, one with 5, a whole bunch at 3 and 4. And then there was a surprising one at 2, and I mean, you can probably guess who got 1. Every team did get an MSP. One did just squeak in with the 1. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to go over all the teams. We're going to look at the MSPs they've been given this year, how many each team got, and who pulled out on top with the most MSPs. We'll start from the bottom, we'll work our way up, and there is surprising ones throughout this list based on the popularity of their team and how they did in the playoffs, why they are so low. So how do they come up with these picks? Who knows? Give it a thumbs up if you like the video, guys. Don't forget to leave in the comment section down below if your team was one of the heavier favorite MSPs or if your team didn't get much love. If you are new here, my name is Bert. Hit that sub button and notification bell down below so you don't miss anything in the future. But let's get into it and see what we got for MSP count. All right, so here we go. We're going to start at Arizona. Get them right simple out of the way. Arizona only got 1 MSP. Not much love out of EA for Arizona, but with that being said, Arizona is not a very exciting, popular team with a lot of names that people are chasing, so I get why they keep it low. Arizona only gets 1 with a milestone, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. One that was very surprising is indeed the Toronto Maple Leafs. They only got 2. Like I said, I'm not counting the John Tavares card. But what I am counting is the team builders, because I was going after cards given to their team that are buildable, that you can acquire. Like Team of the Season, for instance, most of those cards were cards that you acquire by opening packs. Like the Willie Nylander, that was random. You couldn't go out and build it, so I'm not counting cards like that. So for instance, Toronto, Mitch Marner and team builder Antropov is all they had. And Toronto's a fairly popular team, so why don't they get that many MSPs? Is it because Willie had a team of the season? Is it because Austin Matthews had an X Factor and a team of the year? Is it because Mitch Marner had an X Factor? What was the decisions behind keeping a popular team like the Toronto Maple Leafs down in the MSP count? We're not really going to know, but Toronto only got 2. 2 teams that aren't really going to surprise you as teams that didn't get a high MSP count. One is St. Louis. St. Louis did acquire 3, 1 being an alumni player and 2 being Pietrangelo and Tarasenko. So how does St. Louis get 1 more than Toronto, right? What's the process behind that? But anyways, with that being said, St. Louis gets 3. And the other team that kind of surprised me by getting 3 ahead of Toronto would have been San Jose. 1 being Jumbo Joe Thornton, 1 being Brian Campbell, and 1 Ola Nolan's team builder. Very surprised when it came to San Jose being hired granted the season that they had compared to a team like Toronto. And no, we're not going to make this a Toronto love story on why didn't Toronto get all these MSPs when all these teams that played less, that finished less than them did. Toronto did fairly well with cards this year, so I'm just going to leave it at that, and we'll stop bringing up Toronto. But coming into Nashville, as you see here, Nashville has 3 with Shea Weber, UC Saros, and Philip Forsberg. All 3 were very good cards at the time of their release, very impactful. UC Saros being earlier on in the year, in like late November, I think, is when Spreadsheet came out. Shea Weber All-Star, I still see people using that card today. And Philip Forsberg had one heck of a shot on him when he came out, putting Nashville at 3 MSPs. A surprisingly low number of MSPs would have been this here in Carolina. We've got 2 MSPs in Slavin and Domi and 1 team builder in Eric Stahl. With the popularity that Carolina has and the new upgrowth and the love for this organization, I don't know how they skate through and only get 3 MSPs. Calgary now getting 3 MSPs. That is something that I would have expected. We did get Zadorov and Uyghur and a good old alumni with Jerome McGinley, but I would have expected Calgary to be in the 3-4 range. So this is right where I thought they should be because they didn't really have the best of years. Now, again, another powerhouse that I don't feel got enough love would be that in the Edmonton Oilers. You got Zach Hyman early off, you got a Hut Heroes Darnell Nurse, and you got Leon Draisaitl's Summer of Chell card. Is it because the team is so powerful that they get so many prime times and they get so many team of the weeks, and there's just so many cards they're releasing on the regular for the Edmonton Oilers, same with the Toronto Maple Leafs, that they only get 3? Because I feel like there could have been more MSPs for this team. New York Islanders coming in with 3, with Barzal, Lee, and Bo Horvat. So again, New York Islanders are another team that are middle of the pack, so I wouldn't expect them to have a high tier of MSPs or a low tier of MSPs, but you know, 3 is not a bad number. One shocking one for me is going to be Vegas, only having 3 with Mark Stone, William Karlsson, and Zach Whitecloud. I'm going to be very surprised that with the start in the franchise of the Vegas Golden Knights to where they've gotten now, I am very surprised that this team isn't filled with MSPs across the board. That is why we're doing this video, because there is a shocking amount of teams in areas you wouldn't feel like they should be in. And then Seattle, we get Team Builder, Jamie Aleskia. We get Matty Beniers and Jared McCann. Seattle's a very new club. Would probably put that as to why they don't have very many MSPs at all. And then rounding out the 3 category is going to be the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, mind you, they're all alumni and legend players of the Chicago Blackhawks, but they did get 3, so you gotta respect that for a team that was one of the worst among the league. Florida's going to start our list off with teams that got 4. We got Claude Giroux, Hornquist, and Ekblad, and Jay Boltmeister as a team builder, and also Olli Okinen as a team builder. And then we come in with Dallas. We've got Miro Heiskanen, Jake Ottinger, Esa Lindell, and also Mike Modano as an alumni player. Dallas had 4, but Dallas is a new, young, fresh, exciting team with a bright goalie and some bright young players coming up through the system. And Dallas is going to be a very good team for a lot of years to come. Minnesota was one team that started out very slow for MSPs, but then they picked it up with a big 4, 2 coming in the Summer of Chell, 1 being the Draft Gems, and 1 being Next Gen. Next Gen with the Matt Boldy was midway through the year, but then the Draft Gems and the 2 Summer of Chell really popped this team off with their MSP count. Here's a god-awful team that surprised me. Philadelphia getting 4. Again, you got Eric Lindros as alumni, you got Sean Couturier, you got Wayne Simmons, but Philadelphia really surprised me with their MSP count, granted how terrible of a year that team had. Another team that picked it up with Kuzmenko card really set ahead and be like, hey, this team has a very good MSP with Kuzmenko. Quinn Hughes isn't bad because you build it up, you turn it into the team of the season, so that's not terrible. When with their alumni, obviously, it really rounds out the Vancouver Canucks, bringing them to 4 MSPs. We're gonna start speeding this along here so we don't get this, so this doesn't take too long. Washington has 4 as well, 2 of them being Burakovsky and Anthony Mantha. If you haven't used the Mantha card, it's ridiculously good. The Jets also came in with 4, and you see 2 of them right here, and Hallebuck and Morrissey. Morrissey was on my team until they came out with some new cards that I had to rearrange, because the Dorov is a little bit bigger and better than Morrissey, so I went with him. And then Hallebuck is a goalie that's given me trouble in the past. And a team that is full of a lot of young talent in Anaheim, they come in with 4 team builders of their own, Klingberg and Zegras being 2 of them, and again, middle of the pack for a team that did not finish anywhere close to that, but they're young, exciting, and one of them is the cover athlete, so of course he's going to get an MSP. Ottawa will be finishing out our 5 category when you see 3 of them right here in Jake Sanderson, Alex DeBrincat, and Brady Tkachuk. Next Gen was quite a bit ahead of Spotlight, so there's a significant gap there of like 3 months between Next Gen and Spotlight, or 2.5 months, and there's still 84. But Brady Tkachuk's on my team, and he is absolutely fantastic. And then New Jersey, one team that felt like it had more MSPs that actually turned out not to have more MSPs. We have 3 right here just on their own with Dougie Hamilton, Jack Hughes, and I don't know how Ryan Graves gets a team builder when all the team builders were all like alumni players, and then you come in with a Ryan Graves. I don't understand that, but you know, we'll never quite understand what was going on. New Jersey comes in with 5, being a quick reminder, one of them being like a Martin Brodeur goalie card. Now we're getting into the 6 MSP category, the category of the team that really got stacked out, and Detroit is one of them. A very young and exciting team. Yzerman's making great moves there. You got Soderbaum, Sider, Edvinsson, and then also like Shanahan and stuff. Lindstrom, of course. Lots of good cards for Detroit for MSPs. The New York Rangers also. There's a theme here, guys, and the theme is going to be the younger the team appears to get with the most potential, the more MSPs that appear to be coming out. Like, for instance, the New York Rangers. You got Zibanejad, Mark Stahl, and Keandre Miller, plus Dan Boyle. A lot of team builder, a lot of MSPs with the Rangers, and a good looking MSP tier list. And then Montreal. Now this was a team that people kept saying Montreal were into like December. They haven't had an MSP. Like, when is Montreal getting MSP? And then when they finally did, it just tore off. With Slavkovsky and Petrie and Wi-Fi and Caulfield and Savard and Beliveau and just all kinds of MSPs for Montreal. And that's something that just tore off in the last half of the year. At the start of the year, they had nothing, and then all of a sudden just shot up the list to one of the top 10 teams for MSPs in EA. Now that will round out our 6 as we go into 7, and 7 being the Pittsburgh Penguins. As you can see, just a ton of them here, and obviously they also have their alumni, which really helped build them out. But just a couple, for example, Sidney Crosby, Marc-Andre Fleury, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang, the cornerstone of that team. That's how MSP should be. You have the group in Pittsburgh as the main focus of why that team's been so good for so long, and you give those 4 guys MSPs, and it makes sense. Pittsburgh coming in at 7, a great amount of MSPs. And also, guys, when you win multiple Stanley Cups, that comes with the territory, right? You see just 6 of them right here, and they have 7 MSPs total. But you got Kucherov, JT Miller, Hedman, Palat, Shen, Zergachev. A huge win for the MSP category of Tampa Bay and the Tampa Bay fans. But you win so many Stanley Cups, that's what's going to happen. Now, back to that young and exciting category of MSPs. What do we got here? We got Buffalo. Buffalo has another 7, which you got 5 of them here, and then their alumni and stuff like that. You got Owen Powers, Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck, Rasmus Dahlin, Ristolainen. Absolute ton of Buffalo MSPs. We're coming into the Final 4 now. Boston's been a juggernaut for so long, and they had the best year out of any team, so that doesn't surprise me that they get so many. Coming in at 8, and you see all 8 right here. Tyler Seguin, David Pastrnak, Charlie McAvoy, Patrice Bergeron, Hampus Lindholm, Milan Lucic, Brandon Carlo, and Linus Ullmark. The Summer NHL MSPs are ridiculous, but throughout the time, like the Tyler Seguin was ridiculous. The David Pastrnak had agility problems when he first came out, but he was good. The Bergeron is always elite with his face-off abilities, especially that early in the year. And Lucic was just a tank when he first came out. But Boston overpowered with MSPs. Now it's time to get to some surprising ones. The Columbus Blue Jackets, a team that did not perform very well this year. They middling of the pack, and yet here they are at top 3 out of MSPs in NHL 2023. Ryan Johansson, Johnny Hockey, Seth Jones, Patrick Laine, and Kent Johnson, Mr. Superman himself. Those are just a couple, but there's many more, as there's 8 Columbus Blue Jackets. And yes, we're going to stick with the theme of young, exciting potential, and we're going to come in with 8 MSPs for the LA Kings, even though they're using some older players. We've got Drew Doughty, Braden Clark, Anze Kopitar, Alex Martinez, Jake Muzzin, and Quentin Byfield, and of course, so many others. And if you haven't guessed it yet, the only team we haven't done, and yes, he is the cover athlete for next year's Cale Makar and the Colorado Avalanche. That is the team that has the most, that comes in at 9. That's right, 9 MSPs. And what are those MSPs? You got 4 of them right here with Bowen Byram, Mikko Rantanen, Josh Manson, and Eric Johnson. And then the Colorado alumni gets in there with Patrick Waugh, Joe Sakic, and Adam Foote. Just an unbelievable legendary tier list of MSPs for the Colorado Avalanche, plus their current roster of just crazy MSPs. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed that video. Hopefully it I don't know, it turns some gears or makes people think about why we do the MSPs we do, or how imbalanced the MSP list is. I'm not saying that we got to make 5 Arizona Coyote MSPs because we got 5 New Jersey Devil MSPs, but like, how do we close this gap a little bit, or do we like the way it is? Leave that in the comment section down below if the system that they do the MSPs on is great, or if they should balance out the teams individually. But I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. Colorado coming in at number 1, and LA and Columbus were the surprisers at number 2 with 8, and then Buffalo at 7. Like, young and exciting teams seem to be the theme of how EA does their MSPs, and I can't wait for NHL 24 to see what the content team has for us. But thank you guys for watching the video. Till next time, ciao ciao.